Everyone is asking the wrong question. Why is the United States ramping up military pressure on Iran while quietly allowing oil shipments into Cuba? At first glance, it looks like a blatant contradiction. It feels inconsistent. It feels hypocritical. The kind of thing that makes people scroll through the news and immediately get angry or confused. But what if I told you it's not a contradiction at all? What if it's actually a very deliberate, cold, and calculated strategy? And once you see the pattern, you start to understand how real power actually works in this world. Let's break it down so your brain can finally see it clearly. On one side, you have Iran. Here the approach is direct, aggressive, and confrontational. Military escalation, open threats, targeted strikes, and sanctions designed to bite deep. The goal is crystal clear: weaken, disrupt, disable, and contain a serious strategic rival. That has real potential to shift the balance of power in the Middle East and beyond. Iran isn't just another enemy. It is expanding regional influence. It has military capabilities. It has alliances that could make it far harder to manage in the future. Because of this, the strategy is aggressive. Break its momentum now before the cost of stopping it becomes too high. Now look at Cuba. For decades, Cuba has been under heavy sanctions and economic isolation. But every once in a while, a calculated lifeline slips through, like allowing oil shipments. It seems to completely contradict the official hardline stance. So what's really going on here? This is exactly where most people's brains get stuck. Our minds are wired to crave moral consistency. We want foreign policy to be simple: right versus wrong, fair or unfair, consistent or hypocritical. When we see two different approaches to two different countries, we immediately call it hypocrisy. But that's how the brain wants to see the world: clean, simple, and comforting. The uncomfortable truth is much colder. Nations don't behave like moral individuals. They behave like ruthless power centers. Power is selective. It doesn't treat every enemy the same way. It treats each one according to risk, utility, and long-term consequence. Iran is viewed as a dynamic, high-risk threat. It has the potential to grow stronger and more dangerous over time. Therefore, the strategy is aggressive containment and disruption. The goal is to break its rise before it becomes too costly to handle. Cuba is different. Cuba is a static threat. It's already contained. It's not expanding aggressively. It does not pose the same kind of rising danger. In fact, completely crushing the Cuban system could create brand new problems. Mass migration waves toward the United States, regional instability, humanitarian crises that damage America's global image, and political backlash at home. So instead of total destruction, they apply selective pressure. They squeeze hard enough to keep Cuba weak, dependent, and predictable, but they leave just enough oxygen in the system to prevent total collapse. This is the part most minds refuse to accept. Real power is not about destroying everything in front of. Your real power is about controlling outcomes. Some enemies must be confronted and broken immediately because they represent a growing fire. Other enemies are far more useful when they're kept in a weakened, damaged, and dependent state, alive enough to remain manageable, but never strong enough to become a real problem again. This is selective pressure at its finest. Precision over principle, calculation over consistency. And once you train your brain to see the world this way, everything changes. You stop asking the childish, emotional question, why are they doing this? It doesn't make sense. Instead, you start asking the much smarter, adult question, what outcome are they actually trying to control? That single shift in perspective, from moral confusion to strategic understanding, is one of the most powerful upgrades you can make to your thinking. It's not comfortable, but it's how the real world works, and the more clearly you see it, the less confused and manipulated by the headlines